And it is time for the second match of the day. It's going to be Dark Zero fighting with Fluffy Aimers, seeing if they can get the last win of the season in the Split 2. Welcome back, everybody, to VALORANT Challengers North America. I'm once again your host, Dryad, joined by Sierra and Uber. And guys, this is a match where I know our predictions on social media were going towards Dark Zero, but Fluffy Aimers, Uber, they can always get those wins when you're not expecting it.
Yeah, like I think this is generally like a quality team. It was really great to see them back in the mix this year, and like they've had a decent run. They're 3-2 right now, and they've excuse me, put up some really decent results. I just think Dark Zero are a powerhouse. They have really taken it to everybody that they've sort of come across, especially in this stage 2 here. 5-0, looking very, very good. There's a chance, of course, for Fluffy Aimers to put some pressure on, but Dark Zero seem pretty untouchable right now.
Yeah, we're going to see what they're able to do here because it's a big match. Dark Zero, this is a team that we just talked about, took down Oxygen that last week and are undefeated. And they've never been undefeated on maps here, but they're still really good. And going into Fluffy Aimers, that when you have nothing to lose, when you know you're not the favorite, when you know you're the underdog, this is what Fluffy Aimers like.
Hey, and this Fluffy Aimers squad, I mean, it is a team that can always kind of catch you off guard and surprise you a little bit because this isn't a bad team whatsoever. There are some quality players across the board here, and Pancakes has had some great IGLing to be able to really quickly adapt mid-rounding to make sure this team can come out on top. Looking at this 3-2, I think that only just shows that so far in this stage 2 that they have been stepping up, and I love this. It's a team that had a little bit of adjustments coming into stage 2, and they've been working together so well. I think going for the 4-2 is a little bit hard pressed when you see who their last opponent is. But again, this is not a team that I count out in any circumstance. Always the underdog and always show you what they're capable of.
Yeah, they do this constantly. And it's just the nature of challengers, those teams that you think, yeah, there's no way they stand a chance against the favorite, against Dark Zero, and they come and surprise you out of nowhere. And especially for this last match, you want to be informed for what is going to be playoffs very, very soon, Uber. So this would be a statement that nothing is guaranteed, that the favorite might not be the favorite towards the end of the year. So for Fluffy Aimers, there's high expectations of what they can do and what they can show as we are getting closer to closing out the year.
Absolutely. I think this team is in a very good position, Fluffy Aimers, that is, to be a factor in playoffs, right? I think they are, knocking on the door of those top 3 teams around at a very competitive game against M80. I think that was the best way for us to really assess how they should be looking against some of these teams. And they took down TSM, who I generally feel are within that same sort of bracket as them. These are the dark horse teams. These are the ones that can make these, runs at playoff if they can find a form and sort of peak at the right time. And they've got really experienced players on this roster, guys that have been around for a long, long time. Pancakes, of course, Mummy's been around since the beginning of Valorant. Neptune as well. So again, pretty confident this team can put on a show. I do think, though, depending on the roster, obviously, for, Dark Zero, because we know, obviously, Weeded's got some medical stuff going on and can't always, has said, I'll try and keep competing, but some days I maybe sort of won't feel like I can. Fortunately, we've sort of seen, I think, Silence, was subbing in for them at one point here. But Weeded is going to be here in the lineup today. So these guys are looking strong, looking to go undefeated this stage.
They're looking really good, and the evolution that the team has had with a mix of something that you talked about for Fluffy Aimers, but we see it even more for Dark Zero, is this experience that they have in other games in tier 1 like Stellar, we think. So it's just a pretty good mix of experience, new players coming in, and the adaptations that they're doing to this meta that I feel like is benefiting them so much, Sierra.
And I love, too, that it's adaptations that the team, notably Stellar, has been kind of putting together. Being able to go under this kind of new title getting signed has not changed how this team has been necessarily going about their approach as soon as they hit the maps. And I love that. This is a team that screams confidence. This is a team that just has that trust in their teammates. And I love when we do get to see the full 5 roster. Everyone's really has been performing so far. This is the only undefeated team left that we have in Challengers. And I think this win last week up against Oxygen was statement. It was a little rough on the very first map. That was something that we talked about a lot in Oxygen series, as we got to see another strong sunset from them. But as soon as we got into our next 2, Dark Zero really putting the pressure on. And when we're looking at the top couple of teams, Dark Zero is in that conversation, and this is not a team that I would be surprised whatsoever to see a very deep run from, if not just straight up winning the upcoming playoffs.
And that's the thing. Something that we've seen in Challengers a lot is we've seen teams be very competitive. We've seen the top teams fighting for that #1. And we've changed it a couple times, right? We said towards the beginning it's M80, then we said it's Oxygen. And then that last week happened, and we're saying maybe it is Dark Zero. And it's great that we're having this amount of competition, but at the same time, we want that team to be the favorite, that team to represent North America when Ascension comes, that team that we think nobody can take them down, like we saw last year with the Guard. And so Dark Zero, they have this task to do today, and I feel like they're on a good path to do so. If they take them Fluffy Amers in a convincing way, it's everything that you need to set them up for success for what is going to be playoffs and what is going to be Ascension. Though, let's jump into the map select. Let's see if it's going to be easy for them or Fluffy Amers are going to make it harder. It's going to be Bind, Sunset, and Lotus. Here's Zira.
I'm not surprised to see Fluffy Amers picking up this Sunset. We all saw how it went down against Dark Zero last time around, so that'll be fun once we get to there. I'd love to see what adjustments Dark Zero has had since then. But it's going to be kicking things off over on Bind. This was a really, really strong performance coming out with a little bit of a different composition here for Dark Zero, and something that they showed to be quite comfortable with. So I am excited to be kicking off this series this way. And something you said, Dan, that I think was really important was kind of how Dark Zero goes for that win, because I'm looking at this team to show if they are ready, and if they are, then taking this series down strongly should be a priority.
It's just what they're going to need to do, because we need that consistent team. We need that team to win 2-0. We need that team that is the favorite for everybody. And I think Bind and Sunset, their maps where they can go really aggressive, it's going to depend a lot on Corey, either on that race, on the Neon. And I think Corey looks amazing in these two agents, but they're 4 different functions. So one is going to be that Neon that he talks about, is going to go in, just create that space and potentially most likely die after doing that, or that race that we see from Corey going crazy on Bind and Sunset. And I think this is a really good map for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Bind is definitely where Dark Zero want to be. I think Sunset is going to be very contested. I think that's a really interesting map because both these teams have a pretty decent time on it in general. I think Dark Zero have really, come a decent way with that map, but that crushing loss to Oxygen definitely made me a little bit concerned. So Fluffy Amers go for that one. They've had, great results against some really competitive teams. I think they 13-6, 13-5 to M80 on that very map. So, I imagine that, it's tough. It's going to be tough for the Amers to take away that first map here. Sunset, though, a lot hangs in the balance. And then obviously we'd be going on to Lotus, which we haven't seen much of at all from this Dark Zero team over the course of this stage. So I'm not surprised. Like, Dark Zero had the ban split. I think it's Fluffy Amers' best map, and then vice versa, getting rid of Icebox here. So these teams definitely targeting each other out. And still, Dark Zero aren't ready to roll out their Haven.
I mean, it's nice too when your bans kind of line up with what the other team's good at, because Dark Zero has been first banning split for a little bit now. Same with Fluffy Amers for the Icebox. So I think once we're getting into those bans, that this kind of map pool all around doesn't necessarily surprise me the most. I hope we do get to see this Lotus, to see Dark Zero tested a little bit there. Sunset will be interesting for the adaptations, but I think it's a lot on Fluffy Amers to see kind of just how much they've grown throughout this stage, that they can be challenging the quote-unquote top team.
And that's the thing, because these two maps that we're going to see at the beginning are the same first two maps that we saw when Dark Zero was playing against Oxygen. It was just the other way around. We had Sunset first, and then we had Bind. But my question goes back to what Corey is going to be doing. If Corey is going to be that consistent Neon that we've seen in the past, and is going to be benefiting so much from this meta that we've seen other players be able to do, I think it's going to be a Dark Zero 2. If not, I feel like things can get complicated, because you might be creating that space that Corey always talked about back before this Neon buff, when he was mentioning, oh yeah, we're gonna play the Neon on Lotus, we're just creating this space, but honestly I'm dying, I'm not the most comfortable. Then you might want to rely on the comfort of Bind, of that race, to get that success, to get the convincing wins that we want to see for Dark Zero. But it's not going to be easy. It's against Fluffy Amers, who have gotten some pretty big upsets. Let's jump into the Zippo Agent Selector. Let's see if anything is going to be different, and it's actually going to be Corey once again on on this Neon, Adder is gonna be on the stage as we've seen in the past. And another thing to point out here is Fluffy Aimers with Bones on the raise, the most consistent agent for this player. Pancakes with the deadlock. Let's see who wins this map number 1. Casters, take it away.
Thank you very much, Dan Dryad. Yes, so we have the Sentinels for both sides here in Deadlock and Sage. So similar ideas for both squads. I think that this is a pretty strong setup for Dark Zero, right? Because the Gecko obviously wants to be planting safely via Wingman from short. The Sage wall adds another layer of protection there. Or if you throw it, straight into vents, it can be really hard to make that retake happen. So both teams have the mechanisms to basically make retakes extremely complicated. And as a result, we might just see a lot of fighting happen off the side early in the round. And obviously, on this Neon, Corey's going to be able to make those quick rotations. And we talked about the changes to Neon. Corey complained, I guess he sort of mentioned that he sort of switched off the Neon because he felt like at best he was making a bit of space and then trading himself out or getting traded out. Now you can do a little bit more with her. She can, stand on her own 2 feet a little bit more and sort of win those duels out with the advantage of her mobility and that slide. So plenty to look forward to here. Curious comps from both sides, and a lot of it will come down, I think, to how they get value out of their Sentinels, respectively, Sierra.
Yes, Dark Zero, when we're looking at the Sage, Adder with the Sage is something that I was a big fan of last time we saw Dark Zero on Bind. And Curry on Neon is always a treat for me. I don't look at any of the bad Neon. I only look at the good Neon. My eyes are on the Senti coming out from Fluffy Aimers, because I feel like anything the Sage wall can do, the Deadlock one can almost do a little bit better. And this is the first time Fluffy Aimers is running this comp here in Challengers. They didn't run a Senti before. That's a Senti that's going to be the first pick, because there is a little bit of a peek and a little bit of a push up through this A short. But it is going to be a peek that Fluffy Aimers can push back.
Yeah, timing on that wall coming down from Dark Zero was so interesting. They weren't into the TP area. They didn't make it into lamps at all. It kind of got brought down while they were standing out in the open. Not sure if that was the plan for them, but either way, they're going to have to make it work now in a 3 versus 4. And they don't have we did. So Viper Wall, not an option. You got to walk straight up. Wingman ends up getting used to clear space instead of for the plant. And now Stella will try and tempt some of these Fluffy Aimers out of their hiding spots.
At some point, we'll have to adjust back over to the site since Stellar does have the spike in hand and very little health. Try and push on forward with. Dark Zero's getting aggressive though. And punish, at least on the peak. The push on forward. Mame good for 2 at the very end. And Fluffy Aimer are going to come away with the pistol. Dark Zero, that was aggression from the get-go. And the pick onto this deadlock, onto Pancakes. But the grab net, the smoke, all of a sudden the paint shell is coming out on next. They had to retreat. It was not safe to go on forward. And after that, it was kind of just a little hard to come by. So Fluffy Aimers, that is a great way to be starting off your opponent's map pick.
And again, we saw Fluffy Aimers play forward while they could and try at least to avoid being forced into a post plant until they had a player advantage. And that's when they stepped back and then overloaded. Here we're going to have that burst of speed, of course, from Corey's Neon. But that one way, a little problematic in terms of getting into showers. So they have to give that up. In this round, it's not just being arbitrarily walled off by Pancakes.
Being able to back off of there. They don't know that there's a deadlock on the other side, but I'm glad for Dark Zero case that they backed off. That's going to be the wall up now in case they do try and re-hit over towards the shadow, toward the shower sides. But it's going to be the slow push up against A. There's the smoke. There's the wall. But hand, as soon as the Zoombot's done, they can try and execute fast. That's Mame over in lamps. Spectre in hand, gets one, but is unable to get back out. Pancakes, though, this angle can be absolutely everything, but there is going to be the Sage wall late, so Stellar can get his 8 plant.
Spike planted.
Plant he does. Bones here. Hoping to get up close to that wall. You see the midsection's already been blown out. Still a little bit scary to try and push past the slow orb, so Bones has to wait it out. And that has now expired. Adder. We're looking to take contact on that other side of the wall here, and Jonah 6 is looking for something. B-Dog's tucked here in this corner. Unclear if you'll really hear the Viper. Swing timing on that. When Neptune surges forward here. Widdy gets taken down. There is presence for Dark Zero at the top of short here, maybe to interrupt this defuse. And around the other side, Stella's trying to wrap here with the Stinger. Finds one. But eventually, the stronger weaponry of Fluffy Aimers prevails. So take 2 Bulldogs out of this one.
Dark Zero, though, you lose the round, but you get a couple of weapons out of Fluffy Aimer's hands. So not a complete loss going on forward onto that. And this is an opportunity to buy up and be able to make good of that aggression a little bit more now. But looking at the money, it's actually not going to be the buy up that we maybe wanted to see. It's going to be stingers across the board, light armor, maybe investing a little too much last time around. So this isn't, wait a second. This isn't as good as it originally looked. The stingers, at least on bind, is nice because with the aggression coming out from Corey, there is this opportunity for picks. But this is not the round that you would want going into the third round.
They can't, I mean, they want to make use of these things, I get it, but this fast play can be shut down by the deadlock pretty easily. There's the grab net, Corey's have to crouch inside of it, but trades himself out. Stella could not get away from the nade. At this point, Dark Zero realizing we can't just run into this deadlock site. And Fluffy Gamers have been moving the deadlock around, getting util across both those sites. You see a sonic sensor over at B there. And Dark Zero on the side, sure, under cover of the smoke, they've snuck in. So they have to answer the threat here from Showers. Bones is going to be an issue, and he's been joined by Jonas 6 there. Nice little collapse on a mummy, but Neptune from heaven trades it out. It's going to be out of finding one. Just out of left. Molly throwing up, keeps him back from the side. Jonas 6 tucks out of view, and he's going to camp on that spike.
Recovered a weapon, though, and Jonas so low on health. Oh, the angle. Bones is still watching that. Adder tries to push up just a little bit. Forced onto the one way because of where his ball was positioned. Going to be taken out. There is a world, but unfortunately just losing too much momentum from the get-go. That Ravnet and the paint shells right away into Showers off of that little bit of noise. Absolutely deadly combination. I do not want to go up against that. That's one to be watching out for. You got a chance to reevaluate and poke around a little bit, though, for Dark Zero. And now that you have the information that, hey, this deadlock has kind of been more so like along this A site, this is a chance to try and get aggressive towards B, but instantly called out thanks to the guiding light.
And up they come. A lot of sky still for a lot of these Fluffy Aimers comps. Some call it antiquated, but Neptune the kind of player that can really squeeze every ounce of value out of that agent. The guiding light there does yield some results. Now the attempt to re-clear long with the Trailblazer. They don't put Corey out, so they're going to swing into it, but at least Pancakes, I think it was, Jonah maybe expecting someone to potentially be there. Relay ball. Oh, it's a showstopper. Corey's trying to get away, and he does just escape. 46 points of health, and he's drawn out the showstopper.
Here.
And Fluffy Aimers, so many of them drawn towards that B site. But this is Dark Zero now pushing towards A. Corey was only just a distraction. You get the ult out, you get everyone off of this site, and Dark Zero now able to plant for free and set up for the post plant. Still 5 members strong. Smoke's absolutely everywhere as well. Brim Smoke seems to last forever, but Neptune popping out of one will at least get a kill, and Pancakes through the teleporter is good for 2 as well. Dark Zero, how can they hold on? Only 2 members left in the wall. Anyone towards Struck is just completely caught up.
I mean, Dark Zero are struggling on this map. Definitely a must-win round comes up for them here. And they can't get too much done, getting thrown down by that Bulldog. That Showers played there, pretty impressive. Tempo adjustment from Fluffy Gamers, who normally was sitting deeper in it just to try and shut down those fast hits. Dark Zero can still buy. It's a little bit awkward, though. They have Thrash online. They need to make use of that. Corey also won away from that hot hands well.
Being able to get access to that would be so nice on this round. And I like that Stellar gets to have this Thrash to try and push out onto something. That's a great way to try and be pushing out this angle, try and scope out the information they had. And looking towards this B side, only 2 here. But it's probably the worst combination to try and go through. It's that Deadlock and that Viper. Thrash in hand. Stellar's going to be committing it through Hookah. And that's going to be the push back from Viper. It's a split push. Corey gets the kill. He gets the zappy fingers and pushing on forward. It's going to be the kills to follow. Site completely in Dark Zero's favor. The number advantage as well.
Their win conditions there, very clear at the start of the round. They play out perfectly. Thrash gets the catch there, coming out of Hookah. And Corey gets that first kill, that last kill rather, that he needs to get that Neon ult. And then it was time to go. Good response from Dark Zero, accelerate into Hookah. So they hit that site at the same time, but Corey mows them down. Fluffy Aim is here, yeah. That's the kind of pace that they should be afraid of. It's the kind of pace that they want to use the deadlock to try and counteract. But the util, the presence for the deadlock at B has been pretty light. And Dark Zero finally figured that out.
And I love that Thrash push, being able to push the Viper out onto site, because you don't even need to commit too far into B to be getting that first kill. That's something that you can eye up through that B long, and that's all of a sudden a piece of utility gone for fluffy aimers. And if it's the deadlock, even better. There's the utility you don't have to necessarily be worrying about. So I love that ult usage. They don't have it going into this round, but I think being able to just get on the board is going to be really, really nice. And now we get to see that Sage's ultimate as well. So you can get a little bit aggressive on this round. And if you can get hold of that site, you'll have the res soon to follow.
And this comp obviously has 3 forms of mollies, so Dark Zero can still play that like post-plant scenario where they back off and they have all the lineups. They even have a orbital strike close to coming up here that they can use to make it undefusable. So plenty of options here for this team comp. You can go aggressive, play off the Neon, or you can sit back after getting a safe plant. But that's what Fluffy Aimers are trying to prevent. Again, very proactive here. That's awkward. Corey's caught in the one-way here. But he's out towards the side, able to get away. Trade of damage and kills here. Anna wants to try and get this res up behind the wall. Stella's back.
All right, crisis averted. There's 1-for-1 trade. Res spent. Dark Zero now with the numbers. Look at this push-up from Neptune, though, over towards this B long. And B-Dog's hanging around this area, too. This is Spike in hand, but very wary of what's happening on this side of the map. That could be a very awkward interaction there. Because Neptune looking towards the left, not necessarily expecting someone from the other end, but they turn around. That's going to be better in the situations. And now Seekers is going to be giving way. That Dark Zero instead is a little more leaning towards the safe side.
I got the spike. And it virtually confirms, I think, what Neptune already knew. He's pushed so far out of B. He knows that Dark Zero are definitely, trending over in that A direction. They've not really committed to anything yet, though. But of course, the deadlock is down. So
30 seconds left.
Util now no longer a problem if Dark Zero wants to go up tempo briefly. And that defensive Viper one-way expires. Will be cycled back in, but only for a short time. Corey and they snuck their way up into shower, but Jonah brings out a down. That was where the spike now is going to be an issue. They're able to get it planted at the very least here. Relay Bolt going to be pressuring Mummy inside U-Haul, and Stella's able to get up on the wall and find Jonah. Mummy and Neptune left. The latter coming in off a late rotate here towards Vents, but we did ready for it. Huge damage on Neptune.
The 2v2, so much damage across the board. Somebody on each side so low. And the spike in such an awkward spot. Playing around triple, Weeded is so little health.
Enemy remaining.
But able to still find the shot onto Neptune. A little bit of information, but that was ult spent for it. And Mame now alone in this fight, forced to be backing off. Not enough time to be pushing on through. A little bit worried for Dark Zero, considering that time didn't seem on their side, but being able to push on through, not having to worry about that deadlock utility at the end, doing wonders for the team.
And we see how Sage is a key component of getting a safe plant, right? Just a little bit of control of A was all Dark Zero needed to get a plant down with that wall, of course, deployed by the Sage. Even though we saw Dark Zero lose a player pushing out there, still able to get a plant down. Not much Mummy could really do after the fact. Little cheeky wall spot, I think, being used there that caught Jonah 6 off guard. Dark Zero, after a slow start to this game, have started to string a couple rounds together, and the economy for Fluffy Aimers is starting to buckle under the pressure.
A little slow kicking off this round. Again, looking towards the shower. This showers has been hotly contested throughout. But it's not going to be the push towards that way on A. Instead, looking at this A short right away. That's going to be the orbital strike clear out through triple. And Corey, knowing that there has been this consistency looking towards the shower side, pushing and getting advantage over that way. That's going to be pushing Fluffer Aimers back. And they're so split up at this point. Sure, they got the full numbers to be pushing back, but the weaponry isn't quite as good. And Weeded is trained onto that shower entrance. So look away, though. I'm hoping the timing doesn't get awkward there. Turning back right just in time, though. That'll be okay.
Now we did Corey trying to contain Fluffy Aimers inside showers. So far unsuccessful. Big commitment to the site by Jonah, but we did able to bring them down. Okay. Pancake's able to get Stella with that annihilation. And only 8 bullets left here. We did. Ooh, okay. Takes that challenge. He can't actually run away around the box because of the Sage wall. So has to face it down, and Neptune at 15 points of health wins.
This Sage Wall, that's the second time it's been a little awkward in kind of a post-plant situation. Otherwise, such a strong piece of utility. I mean, at that point, it was a we did kind of doing it all situation. When you're playing at triple, such a curious situation. And great job from Fluffy Aimers to be pushing back on this pinch that kind of looked to be a little bit tricky. Being able to get it to half before the spam through the box was definitely a welcome little change there. But that could have been the round for Dark Zero to really chart to, like, hit that first nail in the coffin for Fluffy Aimers, and they just narrowly miss out. They still have weapons on their end, so this is another opportunity to try and close it down. But Jonas X right away is going to be popping that ult towards that B long. This looks like a push through hookah, though.
There is some deadlock util though set up at the bottom. Corey trying to slide out of the net. Can't get there. Neptune holds his ground. Absolutely stalwart here on this B side. Dark Zero trying to flood on out.
Wow.
Absolutely ruined.
And she was too stunned to speak. What a response to that push. That concuss thrown towards the back of sight for Dark Zero doesn't show up anything. Neptune's still sitting there, and Corey pushes out to try and take care of the Viper. Back turn gets popped by Neptune, and it just spells disaster from there. That's such a small point of entry to try and flood out onto the site, and not enough util to kind of clear the back of sight in that case, because you do have this neon instead of the rays. Normally that's a paint shell you can kind of throw to kind of disarray them. When you only have the shock instead, it's not going to be nearly as effective. So Dark Zero calling a timeout here. Little bit of damage control. I think that's absolutely great. They're used to this neon, so it is something they can play around, but it's not quite clicking right yet in this match. I feel like Corey, despite being able to get this first pick at times, it's kind of a run in. I either get the kill or I don't. And when he doesn't, Dark Zero have a tough time sometimes recovering.
Yeah, it's got a lot to do again with like running into this deadlock utility. Dark Zero wants to play fast with this comp. They want to get an early plant and then sort of back off, play around it, maybe let Corey sort of be a nuisance in and around the site. But you saw them, they ran straight into a grab net. It is huge. The radius of that thing is absolutely massive. It's really hard for Dark Zero to avoid it. They just run into it and they hope they sort of win the fight out or hope to pick the side that the deadlock isn't playing at. But one side has the sonic sensors. The other one has the deadlock herself here with the grav net and of course the wall. It's hard to avoid her.
100%. And that's going to be a grab net that catches everyone in that vicinity as well. So tough to go through. And Fluffy Aimers, they're feeling confident enough with Dark Zero on just Sheriffs to get aggressive towards this A shore. Not going to let Dark Zero try and formulate a plan whatsoever. And Adder can only stare longingly on the other end of the wall as Fluffy Aimers run away. Look at this angle Neptune has as well.
I mean, Mummy just faked two people going through the TP. That was interesting. You heard the sound that he made. Bella can't do anything from here. Neptune has been incredible over the last couple of rounds. This guy cannot be moved. And now Adder on the wrong side of the wall, a long way away from the spike that now is being set up and camped around by Fluffy Aimers, who've had a great defensive side so far. Already 6 rounds. Fire in the next for Dark Zero, but they will be 5 rounds behind by the time they get those weapons in their hands here. They've got to figure this out.
Fluffy Aimers, that's not even good on the half. That's 7 already under their belt. Neptune has Seekers. And it's really seemed difficult for Dark Zero to kind of push on through. They do have their buys going into this round. And last time we saw Dark Zero have this Thrash, we saw it kind of smoked, kind of gone along towards this B side and being able to push out of position. So that's something they can look at trying to capitalize off of. And if they can get onto the site, they do have this Viper pit to try and close it off. They just have to get onto this site first, and right away, deadlock, raise combination, try and push them back through A short. Doesn't catch anyone though. The Dark Zero have another opportunity to start pushing on out.
A relay bolt, pretty nice connection there. We did brings down Pain Face, but reactively the wall gets thrown up. So this is going to slow Dark Zero down.
Oh, poor Corey.
Yep, he's stuck. He is caught in that corner. That wall can be removed, but Corey doesn't feel like he can pull out his knife and try and break through it. He's stuck! Eventually finally brought down. Bones insistent that the neon was sat there.
Poor Corey, he deserves better than that, stuck behind the wall. team won't leave him alone. You're supposed to forget about him. All that noise and ruckus over towards the A site. And in the end, it was actually just a 1-for-1 trade despite all of the chaos. So this is now a push towards this B side. Site that is open. They get the plant down. They still have utility that they use to try and clear this. And they didn't need to push onto the site with the Thrash. So Stellar does still have that in his back pocket if things start getting murky. And they shouldn't. Weeded has that hit on site.
Oh yeah!
It'll make it harder for the defenders to filter through onto the site now. And the flank angle being beautifully checked by Thrash. Oh, and there's a detain as well. Still, Mummy's found his way in here. Viper's Pit needs to be used very effectively here by Dark Zero. Neptune falls. And no choice but to go through the pit. They're stuck in spawn. Could go around it. Had to go through. And it's just Mummy now giving the spike a tap. And that'll be that. Dark Zero get one back. Not a moment too soon, might I add. A very important gun round to win.
Investing a lot with the ultimates. Drop the pit. Thrash shortly after. Not even waiting for things to get a little out of control at that point. Right away, you know that the site's locked down, and being able to throw that Thrash through halls, great way to make sure that fluffy aimers were in a state of disarray and not able to push on back. So another on the board. 2 more opportunities to go pretty good for this half all around, and their weaponry starting to look just a little bit better. Bones definitely has a little bit of aggression on his end, and with Dark Zero showing a tendency towards this A short, they gotta be worried about grouping up here, make sure they're not on the wrong end of a potential showstopper.
Waiting on it by Dark Zero. Now inching their way up short.
Watch out! Go, go,
Here's the wall. Relay vault pretty effective. He's going to force Mummy back. The showstopper, though, is going to make him turn around. The stun, though, is what gives Corey the space to get away. Bones would have chased him down, and that showstopper goes for nothing now.
Get him,
How
wingman.
quickly Corey 180'd from there was spectacular. Dizzy will get shot out.
You did good.
But I believe that was from Jonah at the back of sight, and that's going to allow that push onto Stellar. Neptune get the kill. Bones pushed through the teleporter. Was pinched no matter what way you saw about it. Pancakes, check over on Showers. One there, instantly rewarded. They got a hold of sight now, but this isn't safe whatsoever. To further push out is only good for a 1-for-1 trade.
I mean, Pancake's getting one in like a 3v1 overload is extremely good for the defenders. We did though. Catch on Jonah 6 as he's trying to come through the vents. Spike is down. We did down to just 7 bullets here. This could get a bit uncomfortable as he's likely to be flooded from his left.
Satchel out.
You can sit and watch this, but it's not really planted for him right now. Yeah, he can bank a molly off there. That stops the plant. The one-way makes it impossible for him to win the fight here. Can he sneak through? Bones is there. Oh my God, we did! That is disgusting! Can't quite get the round done. Neptune able to shut him down. Fighting through the one-way like that. Filth.
We did heard the no shot through this one way. Really said bet. That 1-2 pop to put himself in a 1v1 situation was crucial. Only 3 bullets left. Trying to go for the jumping right click at the end, having to make a play since Spike was already more than half defused and not able to finally clutch up that final opponent. So close. But Dark Zero still only holding on to 3 rounds and the final opportunity to try and get a 4th on the board before they're on their own defensive half. A little quieter to start things off, looking towards Hookah.
Wall here, just, yeah, they want to stop the TP crimes. They don't want to deal with that again. Trying to so obnoxious. Neptune. This one was... Oh my goodness. Found 3. Beautiful spray transfer. Another round here in a row that Neptune's been tucked in that corner, and Dark Zero haven't cleared it.
Stealing sight.
We did get the consolation, but it might not be more than that. Mummy gets ahead of the molly that was thrown in towards the spawn, and it can TP. Takes a lot of damage, though, from that orbital strike. It gets out. We did slaps him. That's 3 for We did. 2 mental rounds back to back. And now it's up to Bones in the 1 versus 1. Sky smoke deployed. Bones can theoretically push out of this smoke if he thinks the plant is being stuck, but B-Dog is too canny for that. Slipping. Right! He takes the fight, though, and Bones is good for it. B-Dog could have got out.
What a mental half of Valorant. from the start to finish, but especially that ending there, the last couple of rounds. Neptune with that 3K, and still Dark Zero bringing it so close. B-Dog had the opportunity to slip away. I think there might have been a moment of hesitation, hard to see through the smoke. And now Fluffy Aimers in the driver's seat, going now onto their attacking half. They definitely have this firepower to push their way on through. This Sky that Neptune has been absolutely amazing. Neptune has been so sharp on the day. Bones as well. And if they can get a hold of the site, this deadlock util is going to be not very fun, frankly, for Dark Zero to try and get past.
It's definitely going to be obnoxious. So I think you saw a lot of value from the defense side of deadlock as well there. 9-3 hard. Very good defense. Corey, he wants to reposition away from that angle he was holding on short, and Bones gets clapped. Corey now wrapping around. He's very hard to keep track of with that burst of speed, but Stella gets forced off the line here by the paranoia. Tries to dizzy up in response. Mummy over towards Showers here. And they're going to hole up in this position. Remember, they do have that deadlock, of course. And Stella waits. He's going to get double faced as his smoke clears. Weeded needs to help him, but he has to look towards short as well. Uncomfortable, tense silence. Stella inches up. Finds Neptune, breaks it. Can he find the second? Yes! Head of Mummy goes rolling. Ada gets in behind the deadlock. Pancakes falls, and it has gone to pieces for Fluffy Aimers in this pistol.
The uncomfortable silence, and it's going to be Dark Zero to break it first, but rewarded in spades. Going to be a right click once, right click onto the second, and kill done. And a little bit of a glimpse, too, on how you can kind of work around this deadlock utility, because we got to hear from Adder's POV. You can hear the sound sensor. You just got to be quiet. You get your 2 kills, you're going to be good. Dark Zero, great pistol for them to win and start to buy up into this round. It was definitely something, considering the 9-3 half, that they needed to get. It's going to be great. A little bit of a noise around. Gets the shot at first, but B-Dog will finish up with the kill. That was a lot of damage to start off the round.
And without that armor, B-Dog is cooked there.
Nope.
Nice ghost work. The Brim still stands, and so those smokes are going to be available to renew the one-way here and delay. Not that Fluffy Aimers are particularly respecting it. Adamant about gaining control here of U-Haul. See now the rotate, of course, is B-Dog is on back to the site. Neptune forced off. Darks are in a very strong position. Fluffy Aimers are sneaking, edging their way over towards the side here. But they don't... Okay, here's a poison orb. Give them that relatively safe plant. And Bones is waiting here for the flood.
They got the weapons to push back out. Just waiting to regroup as a team. Use a little bit of the util before pressing that go button. Is he not going to necessarily catch out Neptune? Dangerous spot. Getting one here would be absolutely huge. But Dark Zero, the collapse is too strong. And Mame already an impossible 4v1. Gets the first. Stinger in hand. Low health. We'll get the 2. Can he get the final one? Just in time. Mame with the 4-piece with the clutch here for Fluffy Aimers to put them onto double digits.
That is huge. What a way to break down the momentum of Dark Zero. They came into that round, of course, looking for a very strong anti-eco. They were pretty confident. You notice the Fluffy Aimers, like, they're not playing a bunch of post-plant molly, so they do fight in the site. But there was a triple paranoia thrown by Mummy from U-Haul at the players that were stacked up coming at Fluffy Aimers from Vent. And then the capitalization for Jonah was there. He finds that first kill that all falls apart. A very, very close fight, though, as Dark Zero almost get away with it. But it's a huge way to break that econ, break that momentum. Fluffy Aim is back in the hot seat.
Best thing Dark Zero has going for them is the Sheriff. B-Dog on the other end of the smoke with the shorty. Maybe that's the best thing. Gets the 1 kill before being traded out. Fluffy Aimers, they have all the weaponry going into this round. A little bit of positioning. That's going to be an Altorm farm for Corey as they do get possession of Showers. But this is already a back off from Fluffy Aimers. Looking towards this B site instead as the rotation from Dark Zero is back towards this A site.
Again, it's the kind of round where you do want to probe early and draw rotations out because you know your opponents are trying to stack on you. And that means the Dark Zero kind of have to rotate as a unit. They need to make sure one of those sites is populated at all times. There's a passive angle being held here by Ada. Only a classic, though, to make use of it. They'll wait to get pushed into. So he's about to oblige. Crosshair placement though, catches the crashing save. So we did get the spike loose here. Jonah can scoop up and get this plant going. We did is behind the wall here. Puff with pistols to break it.
Here.
Gave your life in this situation to get the wall up. I think it's pretty decent trade. As the pistol's coming on through, Neptune can attempt to spam, not finding one, but a wise backup at this point. 2 through the smoke, that seems fair. Going back for the third. Dark Zero, impossible situation for Weeded. Gets taken down. Fluffy Aimers now on 11. Dark Zero, they need to find a response in this next round if they want any chance of trying to string together some momentum.
I mean, that was the plan. They win the pistol. They look like they can at least scrounge back 3 of those rounds and be at sort of 9-6 by the time that their opponents have a chance to fight back. But this is great. Good looks here again. I mean, the deadlock wall against like pistols, like I said, it takes a long time to break, and Neptune's like positioned to punish whoever's trying to push through there. Very good round. Neptune, I mean, over the course of this game, has done some pretty uncanny things. Definitely a play to look out for. It's gonna have maybe a fast push here or just a prod. Out of shower. Yep, turn the flash and take the fight. It's a 1-for-1, and B-Dog gets out with the stim. Just gets away from the grab net too.
If it wasn't for that stim, B-Dog was absolutely cooked. But that's going to be Orb now in way of Fluffy Aimers and a little bit more control. They're so far ahead in rounds at this point. And this team has been looking so good on the day as well. Fluffy Aimers, they've really been cooking with this composition. First time they've had it in Challengers. And this deadlock has just been absolutely instrumental. Now, a little bit of silence. Mame is going to peek up towards this hookah. Weeded's waiting on the other end, but Mame's also been sharp on the day. Oh, Weeded sharper,
nice.
though. Never mind.
Now's the chance here maybe for Weedy to push up and get a little info. Dark Zero know what's happening in showers because that's where all that commotion happened earlier in the round. B-Dog speculating that there's a push through this smoke, but Pancakes has got nothing to obviously flash himself out with, so looks like he'll wait it out. That's a wingman to check through U-Haul here. Dark Zero trying to clear that and maybe even post up there, but looks like it's going to be Neptune moving in to take up residence.
Going for the fast aggressive push. 20 seconds left and orbital strike in hand. Could have been something to push back, but Neptune's going to punish so fast on that. 10 seconds left.
10 seconds left.
It's only going to be Jonah now. And the push around doesn't matter. DZ didn't need the util to delay. They got the gun skills. They'll get it done there. Get another one under their belt. Well, the Aimers are so close to closing this out. They got a couple of ults on the board, but the ones from Dark Zero have so much potential impact, and B-Dog actually getting taken down before he could drop the orbital strike was just actually great, because now you have it into this next round. You didn't need it last time anyways.
Yeah, Dark Zero feeling pretty good, winning the round without, having a chance to expend that. Bring that into the next one. We actually have an outlaw buy up here for Mummy, which is, it's an odd one. Again, it's really just a money issue for him, but obviously everybody on the side of Dark Zero armored up, so those need to be headshots.
Mummy can hit those. I believe. A little silence, though, to be kicking off the round. Famers aren't going to get too antsy here. Kind of eye up Dark Zero and where they want to be. That's going to be a nice wall to make sure that they're only going to have to deal with one push at a time, but Fluffy Aimers are holding their cards close to their chest.
Yeah, really patient on this round. Slowly scaling over towards that big long area. It's less than they're really playing around ults so much as they really want to try and close this game out. Getting value off this buy is paramount. Adder is tucked, I think, just under hookah right now. Yeah, just dropping down. A Viper Pit post plant is on the table for Fluffy Aimers here. Tough for Dark Zero to break that. And their economy is also, it's not bad. Definitely a little shaky. Only a few guns to be bought into the next round if that would have happened. They would lose this one. Adder breaks the net. Looking to slow, I think, down this push in. Had to slow Orb in his hands, and yep, deploys it. Orbital strike thrown up. Okay. And they're going to move forward. That was to buy a little bit of time there, and so it did. Denied the plant for a moment. Now down to 12 seconds left in the round. B-Dog and Corey have to stop this. They've got to interrupt it. B-Dog gets the kill, but goes low. This is scary. Oh, takes chain case down. You still got to break this. You still got to break this. Even with the deadlock dead, the cocoon is a problem. Corey, though, okay, for economy's sake, gets B-Dog out of that annihilation and gets good value out of the hot hand.
Gun here.
It's always terrifying when you see your teammate wrapped up in the cocoon. But at that point, being able to at least get the kill before you're taken out in that way was really, really well done. I was a little worried for Dark Zero after you saw that there was the slow orb in Adder's hand to try and push back any potential push from Fluffy Aimers. And then all of a sudden we get to see the deadlock util. We get to see the grab net. We get to see the paint shells. And Adder kind of having to back up, but then still be able to have this response was fantastic. And Fluffy Aimers, this is going to be the timeout to kind of figure out what they need to do a little differently. They've tried a couple of different flavors here, something a little bit more aggressive towards this A site. We've seen these split pushes. That round was a little bit more of a slower default. But Dark Zero, they've held their cool. And the second that Fluffy Aimers tries to push out, Dark Zero had a handle on it. There was the orbital strike notably in that last round to delay the push that Adder really couldn't have. So it is something, if you do try the same thing, you don't have to worry about next time around. But still, the more that DZ gets to play this game, their econ's looking better. And we saw what Fluffy Aimers was able to accomplish on their defense. So there's no reason really that Dark Zero couldn't do the same.
Defensively, they, able to use those delaying abilities, right? The orbital strike to allow them to get into position, rotate in the site, and have impact. I think I was around with like Mummy. Yeah, he brought the Outlaw. That gets handed over, I think, to Stella, who has it at a great time. It is going to be very, very powerful up against this lightly armored Fluffy Aimers squad. You just buy down, save a little bit here. Would love to close out the game, but being patient when it comes to this spending. Still a Viper's Pit up. Also those Seekers for Neptune.
With a little bit of information, the guiding light. Try and push up. Seller with the stolen Outlaw, holding the smallest of angles. And Bone's gonna win out on the other angle over on the B site. Gets the kill onto B-Dog. But again, slowly pushing out. This fight, if Neptune can come out on top, is huge, and he can. At this point, you have the number advantage. 3 left. Pop the Seekers, get the information. Corey will be good to pop them. Love this angle. But this can also be easily punished.
They bring B-Dog back, but I think the damage is already done. Corey might have got caught in his own relay bolt there. That was awkward. From the top of truck, he tries to throw it out, and it just sort of lands in front of him. So now we're in the post plant. Fluffy Aimers get it down the pipe. The Viper's Pit, rather, deployed here. Makes it really hard to flood in from vents at all, and that's even combined with some of this deadlock utility. 2 sonic sensors to get ready for the flood. Perfect answer here to what Dark Zero are going to have to do, which is play fast. Panic showstopper. Connects in heaven, doesn't find anyone. Pancakes gets rid of Adder. This has been an awfully clean thrifty for Fluffy Aimers. This might derail Dark Zero's chances of getting back into this game at all.
Let them thrifty every round. Fluffy Aimers, what an execute. They get the first pick over on B, and that push out towards A, winning those individual gunfights. And it's just paying off huge. Now on match point, over on Dark Zero's map pick of things. And Dark Zero don't even have a full buy going into this round. Things look incredibly awkward. At least they have their own Viper Pit to lock something down. And they do have Stellar's Thrash to try and push back out onto site. But at the same time, Fluffy Aimers fully in the driving seat at this situation.
Okay. This is going to funnel Fluffy Aimers over towards B-Long. This Viper's Pit in hookah. Adder says, well, I'm going to throw this obnoxious wall out as well. Getting info slowly over on the shower side of the map here means that we might see Stella pulled out of A and sent to bolster that B side of the map. Yeah, there he goes.
Look at Jonah, though. Pushing back around the spot, making movement. This could be absolutely incredible timing or the most awkward. 2 Dark Zero members, and B-Dog has the iPad out. This is the first shot. Okay, not the freest shot in the world, but Jonah will win in that fight. Didn't get an eye that Corey was around the corner, but still, huge pick to start off this round. 45 seconds left. Fluffy Aimers don't have much control over the site, but they do have the number advantage.
Yeah, they've really been waiting on this. You're just flooding over towards the stage, and the slow field is going to make this even harder. Viper's Pit, of course. being operated in by Weeded. He can pop out of that at any time, and he chooses now to do it. But for Bones, he was waiting for a play out of Hookah. He knows they left it open, did Fluffy Aimers. They're here to finish the game right now. Adders can only really look on as his team gets cut down to size.
Spike planted.
Now he has to fight with nothing but this Sheriff. Satchel might throw his aim off here. Bones dodging away, and Fluffy Aimers take away Bind.
The quick feet from Bones at the end, not for real. This performance from Fluffy Aimers, I'm shocked, completely shell-shocked. This is a Dark Zero that's been undefeated this stage. This is a Dark Zero that last time we saw them on Bind was just absolutely incredible. And this was a Fluffy Aimers to dismantle that, switching up their composition, something we have not seen them play in Challengers so far. And this deadlock, Dark Zero didn't have the answer for it, being able to completely shut down Corey in some of those situations. And Fluffy Aimers, there was nothing fluffy about that aim today. It was sharp. They're looking so clean. You saw our predictions at the beginning. I thought this was going to be a little bit stronger for Dark Zero's end, but Fluffy Aimers, they're bringing the heat today. They said week 6, we're looking for that 4-2.
Absolutely. Great start. This is the team that beat Oxygen Esports on Bind. That's Dark Zero, by the way, now falling to Fluffy Aimers. We're going to be back after the break, folks, for more of this series. Fluffy Aimers fighting here to solidify that playoff spot and go too far.
Face.